Hey, welcome to our last book chapter video on LabView. This is chapter 9, part B. And we're going to be looking at a lot of these things called case structures as you see on the right side. So I'm just going to make the block diagram look a little bit bigger here. So as you see right here, this block, we've seen these blocks before with for loops and while loops. And now we have a new thing called a case structure. Okay, what a case structure does is it allows you to put inputs in and to then, depending on what the value of the input, in this case true or false, we can do one of two things. We can do what's here in the false, which is send not a number to an indicator along with this message cannot take the log of a non-positive value. Or if I come up here and look at the true statement, I can actually take the log and say good to go. Okay, I'm just going to bring that over here so you can see. Well, I don't know why the good to go isn't. I guess that's all it is, good to go with some dots. All right, so this is in some ways just like the select. Remember how we used select before, the comparison? It was this thing right here where you put something into S, which was true or false, and then either you got out what was connected to the true or the false. What differs now with the case structure is we're not going to be just limited to true and false. We can have all kinds of inputs, and we're going to see that throughout. But let's go back to the whole thing. I'm going to tile left, right. So what we're going to do in this VI is just create a control and then have a couple indicators. Okay, so I'm going to just step you through how to do this. So once you have your control, which is a double precision, we're going to do the following. Okay, we're going to right click, and I can do it over here, structures, and we're going to put in a case structure, and then you highlight a rectangle, and the default two cases are true and false. And you notice on the left there's a question mark. Okay, you can zoom in and see that question mark. All right, so I'm going to just move this down here so I can use some of the same inputs just to show you what's going to happen. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a value of x that we're going to take, and I'm going to bring that. Let's see if I can wire it. No, I can't yet. But anyway, I'm going to take this output right here and connect it to our case selector. And notice that it's green here. Remember, green is Boolean true or false. So if x is greater than 0, this green line will bring in a true, and I want to do the true case. And the true case is going to be, right click, I just want to go into the mathematics here, elementary, exponential, and do log base 10. Okay, so I'm going to bring that in, and here's log base 10. Okay, so I'm just going to take that and wire this over to x. Okay, and you see there's a tunnel made on the left side. And I'm going to take the output and make a tunnel on this side. And then on this right side, I'm going to right click and I'm going to create an indicator. Okay, so it just creates a numeric indicator that you can rename however you like. All right, now the other thing is we want to put a message out there, okay, to say that yes, that was the value of x is greater than 0 or good to go. So I'm just going to right click in here and I'm going to bring in a string constant. Okay, so I bring in the string constant. I'm going to say x is greater than 0, good to go. Okay, so now I'm going to take that output, make a tunnel, and then from the tunnel right click and create another indicator. All right. All right, now that's the true. So if it comes in and x is greater than 0, I'm good to go. Now, I now move up here to the true false and go to the false case. Now you see the false case, nothing's in here. Also, take a look up at the top left. I have a broken arrow. So I'm going to click on that broken arrow. It says tunnel missing assignment to tunnel. Okay, so here's the thing. In the true sense, since I've created two tunnels, I have those tunnels in every one of my cases. So I have to put something on these tunnels. So over here on the string, I'm going to right click. I'm going to create a constant. So in this case, I'm going to put x is less than or equal to 0, can't, compute log x. Okay, so just grab that, bring that over, and now notice that the pink tunnel has now turned solid. That's an indication that the tunnel is filled for every case. When it's open like this that you see on the numeric, the orange one, that means it's waiting for an input at least on one of the cases. So anytime you have a tunnel on the output, you got to supply something to it on each of it. Now you're saying, what do I put here? Well, we can go up here to the, I think it's in the mathematics. We can try to find constants. And you know how it is with me, you can never find anything. Okay, so we're going to do one of these math constants, and there should be one that's NaN, not a number, but I don't see it. Okay, we're going to make our own NaN. Okay, it's going to be real easy, but that's unfortunate. Maybe you can find not a number. So I'm just going to go like this. I'm just going to right click here. I'm going to create a constant, and I'm just going to put in capital N, small a, capital N. And Labview will recognize that as not a number. So that's how you create this. And we'll just go to the tile left right. This stuff up here you don't need in yours. I just have it just so that so I could show you how to use this thing. But anyway, let's go ahead and run this thing in continuous mode. Right now, if you try to take the log of 0, it's actually negative infinity. So we could have a third case, but let's just say we can't take the log. If you do 1, the log of 1 is 0. The log of 10, hopefully you know what that is, to the base 10, it's 1. All right, so there you go. 9B-1 is all set. Okay, so let's close that one. I'm not going to save any of that stuff I just did. Let's go to tutorial 9B2. Okay, this is another pretty easy one. And this is going to have a switch. Whoops, sorry about that. Tile left, right. This is just going to have an up-down switch. So we're going to put a switch in, a Boolean switch, and we're going to put these indicators on like that. So when I come over and do yours and evaluate it, I don't want to just see Boolean switch in here. Okay, you don't need the Boolean part. You can get rid of that if you want. Let's see, lock label properties. Anyway, I'll just blank that out. I'm just going to hit delete. And now I'm going to double click above this and just type in, up this way is going to be multiply, and below is going to be divide. Now, if you want to make these bigger or more bold, you can come up here and you can go to Style, Bold. You want to make it bigger, you can, size 18, okay? So make sure people know which way your switch is multiplying and dividing. All right, when you come over to the front or to the block diagram, I should have visible item label up here, case structure. So you know how to put a case structure in. It's going to have true or false, it's going to have a tunnel, and it's going to have two parts. All right, so let's take a closer look. And by now you know how to do this. So you're going to wire your switch into the case selector. And then you're going to bring in two controls from the front panel, which you're going to already have made on the front panel in. And if you're up, which is the true case, okay, you're going to multiply x times y. And if you're false, you're going to divide. And I should have a visible item here. All right, so it's just a selector switch. That's all there is to it. You should be able to do that by now. When you run through this, you're going to look at a few different cases. What happens if you divide 0 by 0? You get not a number. What if you divide 1 by 0? Ooh, infinite. When you go to multiply, you should be able to see multiplication. All right, so good luck with that. I don't think you're going to have any trouble. So I'm going to stop the operation, close it. Don't save. All right, we're ready to go to tutorial 9B3. And if you're saying, wow, this is too easy, I'm getting bored. All right, well, let me show you something new. Okay, 9B3. Now, that's instructor. That's a hard problem. Well, we don't want that yet. So let's do tutorial. So keep track of tutorial 9B3. Okay, it's a tank. All right. Let me just show you what this is going to do so you can get excited about wanting to learn to do it. Let's run this in continuous mode. Oh, look at this. I've got this enumerator thing. I can change the color of my tank on the fly. You can put in any colors you want. All right, so how do you do this? Well, we have the technology to do it. Let's just tile left, right. And here we go. All right, on the front panel, you're going to use this new type of control. It's called an enumerator. An enumerator allows you to enter different pre-selected choices for people. So right now, my enumerator can be red, blue, or green. Okay, now you could put more colors than that in, but let me show you how it works. And so I'm going to right-click, and there's something called ring and enumerators. So you're going to want enum. Okay, so I'm bring that over. Now right now, if I use the up arrow, there's nothing in the numerator to select. So first thing I need to do is right-click, and I have to add an item after. Okay, so add item after, and then you type in what you want. So let's say I want red. Okay, hit red, and then you click somewhere else or hit enter. Okay, make sure that the cursor is out of there. Then if you want blue in there as well, you're going to add item after. So now I type in blue, hit enter, or click someplace else. I can do another. I can do green, add an item after. I put in green. And you can have more colors than just this. Okay, so that's my enumerator. As you see, I can now flip through those three, green, blue, red, and nothing. All right, so the easiest way to make a case structure have all the different cases that you want, and the cases are going to be blue, red, and green, and you have to make one of them default. That's because Labview wants to make sure if by some means your enumerator puts something other than green, red, or blue, it will come out with an answer. So if you put in from your enumerator black, and it's not one of these three on the list, Labview wants to have a default. It's just going to make it blue if it doesn't recognize the enumerated input. Okay. Now you look over here on the left side on the case selector. It's no longer a green Boolean. Okay, it's blue for this enumerator. This is not an integer here, although probably what Labview does under the hood here is it takes the enumerated values and makes them into numbers. So green is probably 3 right here. Blue is 1, red is 2, and green is 3. But for the user, you're not seeing any of that. But that's why it's blue, because it's probably under the hood just an integer. Okay, so let's right-click. I'm going to put a structure here, put a case structure. And ordinarily, this case selector is going to be green, meaning that it's a Boolean. And it's going to have the true and false here. All right, now watch what happens when I wire in this enumerator. So I'm going to come in here, wire the enumerator. Now, look what happens. It creates a case that's blue, and it comes up here and it says default red. So it's created 2 of them for me. Okay, so let me just go to red. Now you say, well, what about the green and the blue? I had those. How come it's not recognizing it? Well, it should. I don't know why it's not. So all you do is go up to red, and you right-click, and you say, add a case after. And what happens is when you do that, it goes to the next thing it finds in the numerator, which was blue. And once blue's in there, you add a case after, and it goes to green. Now what happens if I do this again? Add a case after. Now it's asking me to enter something. If I enter something here, like let's say I say black, whoops. Okay, it comes in red. Now, why the other ones are black and this one's red, and the reason is because it creates a broken arrow. So let's see what it doesn't like. It says case structure values have wrong type. Well, you can try to fix this. Okay, I'm going to come back over to the front panel and I'm going to add a case after. So add item after. I could put a black in here if I want and hit enter. And as soon as I did that, the black over here became actually the color black, and it was no longer in red, and our broken arrow is gone. So you can't add extra cases that don't exist in the enumerator. Okay, we do have a default case. Now watch what happens when I get rid of this, because I don't want to add an extra case that I don't need. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to remove or delete this case. So now as soon as I delete the default, I just have red, blue, green, black. But if you look at the top, I have a broken arrow. What's it say? Case structure, no case for some selector values. Well, that's not exactly true, but what Labview is trying to tell us is it's possible to have some values that it won't have a case for. So what you can do is take one of your existing cases and say, well, if somebody puts in a selection that's not one of these four, I'm just going to make it so that the tank turns red. So I'm going to just come down here and say make this case default. I'll make red the default, so no matter what else someone puts in, that's our default. Notice that the broken arrow is gone. Alrighty, now to do the rest of this, all we're really doing is we're putting a tank indicator up here. So this is going to be numeric indicator, and it's a tank. Alright, so I just put a tank on here, and once you have your tank, now I've got another, I must have another tank somewhere on this panel in here. It's right here. Okay. What we want to do is create this thing called a property node. Okay, so I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to do a create, and it's going to be a property node, and there's lots of properties. Okay, so I'm going to find one. Whoops. That's not the one I wanted. Right click, create, property node, and I need to find color. So fill color, it's right in front of me. So here's fill color. So I put that in there, and what I want to do is change this. Instead of being something that is giving a value, I want one that's getting a value. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to change this to a right. Okay, that means we'll be allowed to write a color to this and it'll change the tank color. So once I do that, I'm going to just bring this so that it becomes, well, it's just not too happy with that situation. But I thought I was just going to create, so I can't put my indicator on there first. I have to do something inside. Okay, so I am going to create, I guess from here, I'm going to create a constant. Okay, so I'm going to bring that constant inside, but it didn't like that. So I'm going to delete it. So all this is a constant. I bring that there, and now I can connect this here. Everybody's happy. All right, there are certain numbers, and you can get these from the text, but for red, if you come up to the top one, red is this number right here, 16 blah 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 blah. You don't care what that number is, but you're going to put it in here. Okay, so you put that number in there. Tank, by the way, we're just going to right click. We're going to create a constant. We'll just put 8, so it's the tank is like 8/10 full all the time. And then you're going to go to each of these other cases and just put in different constants. Now, if you want, you can just right click over here, create constant, and then type in whatever value you need. All right. So the end result is you should have one of your three colors a default, and for blue, the constant coming out is 16860, and then the one for red is this big long number, and green, it's this number. Now you can probably go into help, right click, and you could probably go to help and find out what each number for each color U there is. But all you need is those colors for now. Okay, so as you saw, it's fun running this. Green, if you want to try different colors and different numbers in different cases, good luck. But remember, if you have a enumerated list, you have to have at least one of them set as the default, or you're going to get a broken arrow. Close that down. I'm not going to save anything. We're all the way up to our second to last tutorial, and that's tutorial 9B4. So let's get to tutorial 9B4. Here it is. Window, come on, tile left, right. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have a while loop. So let me put visible item here, a while loop. And inside that while loop, we're going to have a flat sequence structure. Remember, once you put your flat sequence in, you're going to right click and you're going to add frame after if you want to add extra frames. So I have two frames. The first one's going to create two random numbers between 1 and 10. And those are going to be integers. And those are going to then get fed into indicators and also tunnel through, get added, and then we're going to show the answer. Okay, so this indicator over here, we're going to create a property node. So property, whoops, not property. I have to go to create. Create property node, and you're going to go to visibility, visible. And we've used this before with the vending machine. So you're going to have that. Right now it's set up to what's called read, but we want to change it to a write. Okay? All right. And you're going to put those in there. These little things, remember, are weights, and I should have those labels on there, and you get those from the weight menu. All right. Now, these random number generators, I've made sub-VIs. So what you can do is you can go to the book and make the random number, and I'm going to show you. So originally, you're going to put this snippet of code right here, okay? In fact, all this stuff right there into your numeric, okay? So let's go and look at this block diagram. So you're going to put all that random number generator stuff, and then you're going to highlight that stuff, okay? And then you're going to make your sub-VI. Okay, so I'm going to look at the block diagram. All right, so you're going to highlight all this stuff, and you're going to then remember what you do, edit and create sub-VI. Okay. Now, one of the things is you want to have something called 1 through 10. Okay, so let me just show you how you make that. So over here, you double click, and I have nice 1 through 10. Now you might think, hey, I'm going to use the text over here to do that. There's an easier way. So let me get rid of what's on there. Let's say I have a blank. I've gotten rid of everything that was there by default. And instead of going to glyphs, you can go to icon text, and you can just go 1 to 10. And small font is good, centered. You want to make anything bigger, you can go to it. But that's all you need to do for that. Keep in mind also on any sub-VI, you should be going to File, VI Properties, and typing in documentation a one-sentence description. This VI creates a random integer from 1 to 10 inclusive. Inputs, there's none. Output, a random number. All right, so make sure you put that in, because when I come to your main VI, which is going to be right here, I'm going to go onto context help and see if you've got some context help there. Okay? Using VIs is a way to keep your main program from getting too cluttered it's easier to follow, and when you do your final project and you have all kinds of logic going on, sub-VIs are really going to be a better way to keep track of everything and a good way to get an A on your final project. Okay, so keep that in mind. You want to get an A, you want to get a lot of candy, this is the way you do it. Okay, so if you want to take candy from Waddick, you just do what he says to do with this Labview program. All right, so let's tile it left, right. Whoops, that's not the one I wanted. Okay, so let's go to tutorial, and now go here, tile left, right, or I can do Control T. And this is our little flashcard thing. So let's say you got a brother or sister who's in grade school, or maybe you have your own child, or maybe even a grandchild. In fact, I had a dream last night I had a grandchild, but I don't have a grandchild, although my daughter is 28 years old and married. You never know, might get one someday. So I'm going to run this in just single mode. Okay, let's just watch what it does. So it shows you two things. It gives you a little time to come up with your answer, and then it sprays out this answer out here. The reason why A plus B, the indicator, is only on for a second is because we have this wait on only for a second. If you want it to be longer or give the person more time to do this, you just mess around with these wait times. Now the stop is kind of weird because you got to be hitting that stop button when it just finishes the second wait. So I got to hit it like right there, but even that's stopping it. So if you can come up with a better place to put the stop, it probably would be better to put it inside something, but it finally did stop. Alrighty, so that is 9B4. One more last one. I'm just going to close this. We're going to do tutorial 9B5. Okay, let's take a look at this crazy thing. Tile left, right, or maybe I should try Control T. Control T. Wow, that's easier. Okay, so you're going to use Control T from now on. Hey, I set up a nice little array. You know how to make arrays by now. Hold on here. The cord is choking me from the headphone. Okay, now I can breathe again. Almost lost it there, folks. Got strangled by myself. So I've made these default. Remember, once you type them in once, you want to go and data operations, make current values default. All right, so we're going to put that into a for loop that's then going to go into a formula node. So let me show you how we make a formula node, and it's a little bit finicky, okay? Now this code in the formula node, it looks a lot like C programming to me. Okay, so first of all, you're going to find the formula node right here in structures. So I come in, I make the formula node. Okay. Now inside here, I'm going to either have a variable defined that's going to come in. I can have more than one value coming in. I can have constants inside, like these floats A, B, and C. And I can have an output over here. Okay. So let me set up some inputs and outputs. So let's say I'm going to have, I'm going to add an input. So let's say I want to put in something that I haven't used here. Let's say I'm going to have input D. Okay. Now you have to be careful that whether you're using uppercase or lowercase, because these are going to be case sensitive. So I have a D. All right. Let's do another one. I'll add an input E. Okay. And on the output side, let me say I'm going to add an output, and I'm going to call that capital Z. All right. Now inside, let's say I'm going to want to use like a value pi. Okay, so I can click in here, and first thing, I can't just put pi equal to a number. All right. If I do that, I'm going to get a broken arrow. I'm going to have to first describe what kind of variable it's going to be. So there's floating point 64, which should be double precision, and I'm just going to call it pi. Okay, and then I hit enter. And then I can now define pi, so pi, and you have to make sure that whatever capitalization you've used, you have to be consistent. Okay, 3.141, 159. Okay, and the reason I'm putting a semicolon is because that suppresses output in C programming language. So I don't want any output coming in from here, except Z. All right, so once I do that, it's okay to put spaces here. Now I could come in here and I can say capital Z, because that's what's on my output, equals, let's say, D times pi minus E. Okay, so let's say that's my formula. So right now, if you look up at the top, there's a broken arrow. I click on it, it says formula node contains unwired or bad terminal. Okay, so it doesn't like the fact that I have not wired something to these two. So if I right click on here and create a control, okay, and then I'm going to do it again, right click, create another control. All right, now you'd think maybe this would be happy. Okay, but it's not happy. And we're going to wonder, why is it not happy? So I'm going to click on this. It's going to say formula node identifier expected. Okay. Error on line 1. It doesn't like pi. Okay, well, let's come on over here and let's just put an indicator. Let's see if that's the problem. Throw an indicator on. No, it's still not happy. So what the heck is wrong with this? Float 64 pi. Well, I went through this, and one thing with this little formula node thing, it's a little finicky because this is kind of why people hate C and C++ programming, because it is a little finicky. All right, I guess I didn't have a semicolon where I needed it, so I put it in, but it's really finicky. I thought I did this. I then had to delete something, retype it in, but now it's working. And now there's a broken arrow again. What the heck? Formula node identifier expected. So I tell you, it was just working. So I'm just going to get rid of the I on the PI, and let's see if it's happy now. Yeah, now it's happy. Okay, so for some reason it doesn't like, it only wants single variables, I guess, unless PI is a reserved constant, which it very well might. Now, how do you know if it is? Well, we better right click and go to help. Okay, so let's go to formula node syntax, and let's just see what's happening here. So it gives you some stuff. These are the type of data you can have: float, integer. You have to type it just like this. These digits. I'm trying to see if there's something characteristic about pi in here. E exponential part. I don't see anything about pi. There's allowed functions, so let's click on that. Now later on you're going to want to use atan2, so you might want to come in here, and atan2 allows you not only to get the angle, but what quadrant an angle is in. So this inverse tangent is a good thing. So keep that in mind. But pi, it may be a reserved constant, and that's probably why I couldn't use it before. But in any event, I have fixed it. I'm going to get off of here. But that's the idea with your formula node. For you, you're going to make A, B, and C. If they are capital like I have, they have to be capital in the formula. If your X and Y are capital, they've got to be capital. All right, you're going to create a for loop. You're going to put an array into it. So it's going to index in one at a time. I'm just going to get rid of my formula node that I pondered so difficultly with. So watch what happens if I put this on highlight execution mode, and I'm going to run this. Okay, it sends 1 in there, it computes 4.95, and it keeps stacking up the values over here. Notice that there's no Y output until we're done, and then the whole array stacks out. So those are the answers you should be seeing when you run this. So just a way to do a formula node, it's called the new formula. Okay, so here's how you find it. It's a little bit easier used than the formula node, which doesn't require you to do all this stuff in C. So you can right click, you can go to mathematics, you can go to script and formulas, and you can go to formula. So if you bring that in, it opens up a window that kind of makes things more foolproof. It's got different inputs that you can use. You can rename them if you want. So if you want this to be A, B, and C, okay? Then you can take your formula. Let's say you want x1. It's going to put that in as A. Let's say all you're going to do is A plus B, put the x2 button, plus, let's say, the c squared or something. So you hit this one, and you hit squared right here, and 2. And he says, okay, that formula is good, and you put OK. Now, what it does is automatically maps the A, B, and C. It puts it in uppercase for you. So I would have to say, and here's your result right here, I would say that this is now, this formula function has pretty much made the formula node obsolete. So use either one and you'll be good. All right, that's it for tutorials. So let's show you instructor 9B1. All right, now what this one's going to do is it is going to not just, it's going to be like your flashcard one, but it's going to allow the user a chance to type in an answer in a given amount of time, and then the correct answer and a message is going to show. So let's go ahead and run this to show how it works. So right now it's 9 plus 2. If I don't type anything in the 5 seconds or however long you tell it, it gives me the answer and says wrong answer. So now if I put in the right answer, 5, it says wrong answer. The reason is you got to know how to read directions. You have to hit enter. So this is 13. I have to hit enter. I got it just in time. It says correct. So you got to be quick. This is 14. I put enter. Correct answer. All right. Now this is 11. If I don't type in an answer or type something wrong in, I get wrong answer. Okay? And you can make this message maybe nastier. Okay, we put 5 in. That's right answer. I just guessed at that one actually. So let me put in a wrong thing. Let's say this is 3. Wrong answer. Okay, so that's how that works. So you're going to have to use some formula nodes and stuff. So have fun with that one. Just make sure you give your person enough time to type in their answer. This is 5 seconds is barely enough. Okay, so I'm going to stop that. Okay, let's go to 9B2. This is what the front panel looks like. Okay, why is it going crazy here? Okay. All right, so there's my front panel. You're going to put in an X and a Y, and then you have to put that into polar coordinates. Now, if I run this in this mode, if I have, let's say, 2 and 2, that should be a 45-degree angle, and this should be the square root of 8. Okay, now if I go into the second quadrant, minus 2, I should get 135 degrees. Go into the third quadrant, I get minus 135. And if I go into the fourth quadrant, I should get minus 45. The regular atan function will not work for you. You'll have to go to atan 2. All right, so I'm going to stop that. Let me just come up with just a new VI here. Okay, just a blank VI. And remember that we had that mathematics and script here. The formula is atan 2 in here. There may be, I don't see it in here. You might look under more functions, and there's an atan, but no atan 2. You're out of luck here. You're going to have to use the old school formula node. Sorry. Okay? All right, so that's 9B2. Instructor 9B3. so I'm going to tile this left-right. Okay, so this is going to be an age calculator, and I want you to create a sub-VI. And when I do help, show context help, and hover over this, it's going to have the current, which is today's date, and then it's going to put the birth month, day, and year for you or any person. And it's going to compute the person's age. All right, you say, well, that should be easy. You just subtract the years. Well, that's part of it. But you got to just keep aware of one thing on this one, and that is that your birthday may have not come yet. So I'm going to go to this. So let's say it's right now in today's date. What I'm doing, it's 10/25. 2016. So if they're still using these videos like in the year 2025 when I'm long retired, just remember the guy who did it for you, John Waddick, and come on over to the old age home and bring me some candy, okay? All right, so let's say that my birthday is 10/26, or let's say it's 10/26. Let's make it easy, 2000, just so I can see this more easily. All right, so right now, I'm just going to pull this over. My age, or this person's age, would be 15, okay? Now, let's say that, how old are they going to be tomorrow? So on their birthday, they become 16, and they stay 16. Now, let's say that I bring this current month down to 9, okay? I'm just going to test this. So if the current day, if the current month is 9 and my birthday is in October, my birthday hasn't come yet. So even though the 28 is bigger than the 26, the month isn't right. Okay, so you're going to have to do some checking here. There's a little bit of logic involved to determine if your birthday has come yet this year by comparing the birth month, current month, and the current day and birthday. So good luck with that. I hope you can do it. And make sure you make a sub-VI. Age calc, remember how to make that. You can use the glyph text. Okay, I'm going to close this one down and bring us to the final climax of the book. And these are going to be instructor 9B 4 and 5. So 9B4, that's tutorial 9B4. I need instructor 9B. Okay, what I did is I created it inside of 9B5. Okay, now this one is going to determine how many days until your next birthday. Now keep in mind, if the current month and date and your birthday and the birth year, our birthday and birth month are the same, you have 365 days. So I'm going to just show you that. So if I run this, I did the dreaded thing. I ran it in continuous mode, and I have this little signal here. I don't like that. There's no way to get out of here. I'm going to have to Control-Alt-Delete. Okay, cancel, task manager. I got to get out of here. I've got to end the task. You see what I just did? Okay, you don't want to do that. So you're not going to run this in continuous mode, or you're going to be in trouble. All right, so I got to come back and get LabVIEW back up. I'm going to do instructor 9B5. All right, tile left, right. All right, inside of one of these, I am determining whether I have an input between months 1 and 12. If I put something outside of that, I give a message. Now, I use the type of message that is a text message that doesn't let you ever escape. You may want to use just a regular indicator or something like we've done before. But I'm going to have to run this just in single mode. So like I was saying, let's say my birthday is on the 25th of December. Okay. And so your birthday and day are one and the same. And I run this thing. there's 365 days until the next birthday, or till the next Christmas here. I guess this might be Jesus Christ's birthday. Anyway, now if I say that the current day is 26, now there's 364 days. But if I bring this down to 24, there's only one day. Okay? So you're going to have to know if you're going to wrap around and so forth. So I'm going to give you some hints. You're going to want to make this thing called day of the year, or days elapsed in the year. Okay? And let me just find the instructions for that. Actually, I give it to you, so let's just double click on here. So I double click on here, tile left, right. I made a little glyph with a calendar up there. I put this one button dialog, and what happens is if I'm on the default 0 to 13, and the way you type that in is ... 0, 13 ... and that is means any other possible case. Or you could just call this default, and it says enter something 1 to 12, but if you're in continuous mode, you're never going to get out of this loop. But you're going to have cases, okay? And what you're going to need to do is look up how many days have elapsed when the first day of every given month comes about. So in January, 0 days have elapsed when the first day of January comes about. So how many days have elapsed in the year? Whether if it's January 1st, it would just be 1 day, okay? You're on, or really, maybe this isn't days elapsed, but this is the day number that you actually are in the year. So that would be, the answer here would be 1. Now, if you go to February, okay, what you have to do is you have to add all the days of January plus whatever day you are on February, okay? And then you have to go through each of these. Okay, so now when you go to March, we're just going to take February non-leap year, okay? So we're going to put another 28, so this would be 59 in the next one, okay? So you see, that's all we're doing is adding up how many days elapsed in all the prior months, and then you add the day that you are in the current month. All right? So let's see how this works. And you're going to need a default, okay, which you can do this way. And then we're going to have this message. I'm going to take these visible and invisibles out of here. I don't need them anymore. I'm not going to use this anymore. I'm actually going to put in the function that I wanted to from the start, which was a dialog. It's the one button dialog. Okay, button name, message. So you just put the message here, and let's go ahead and run this thing and see how it works. Okay, so run it in single mode. If I have an input month of 0, I should get a message that says things are bad. Enter month 0, put OK. All right, so now I put, if I'm in month 1, you can't really have a day 0 either. Okay, we said that should come out with 1. If I'm on February 1st, it should be 31 days plus the day you're in here. If you add 10 in here, you got the 31 days of January plus 10 that you're in this month, you get 41. Okay? If we go to month 12, day 31, this should be the 365th day of the year. Okay? All right, so that's what this one's all about. The only case you're going to have to put the notice in here is the 1013. Okay? And you could force someone not to be able to put an input day of 0 in over here by coercing them. You could go to properties, and you could put appearance, data type, display, data entry. Okay, you could make the minimum 1. Okay, maximum would be 31. If not, you'd coerce it to 1. If they go over 31, you'd coerce it to that. Increment would be 1. You'd coerce it to nearest, and you put OK. This would make it so you cannot put anything bigger than 31. You couldn't put anything smaller than 1. I suppose you could do that with the input month and then do away with this stupid notice anyway. But however you do it, the days elapsed or the day of the year needs to come out correct. All right, so now that you have that done, and I better save this. And now I can close it. Okay, so now I can come over here, and I'm going to use that to tell me how many days till my next birthday. So you're going to have another sub VI that you create. You're going to say how many days have elapsed to date and how many days elapsed to your birthday from the start of the year. So inputs, days elapsed this year to the current date, days elapsed from January 1 till your birthday. Both of these are I-32s, and then it's going to be how many days till your next birthday. All right, so there we are. We're going to get the context help. Remember, now I got a broken VI, so I'm going to click on this and say, what's the problem? Sub VI has a bad linkage. Okay, so I got to open that up. Window, tile, left, right. Got a bad link, huh? Oh, right here. For some reason, I've got to remove a terminal. I got to hit File, Save, File, Close. All right, can I run it now? Yep. Okay, so I should be good to go now. I'm going to try this again. If the current month is 1/1 and my birthday is on 1/2, which is my dad's birthday, there's only one day to the next birthday. Yeah, because he's got 1 day. We used to celebrate with my dad on that. Okay, all right, so there you go. I'm going to close this down. Don't save all. Probably should have saved it. But we're done with Chapter 9B. Have fun. Your next video is going to be about Legos.